Alright, what's going on today, YouTube? Welcome back to your favorite cyclist YouTube channel. This week, we are tearing apart the RockShox fork on the Superfly and hopefully making it feel like it did 9 years ago when I bought it. But before we get into today's video, if you are new to my channel, make sure you head down below, hit that subscribe button for me. If you already are subscribed, make sure that little bell icon or exercise checked off. That way you get notified every time I upload. That way you don't miss any of this awesome cycling content on this channel. So right on to the video, we are rebuilding this RockShox Recon TK Silver 29-inch fork right here. We are rebuilding it. This fork is from this bike when it was brand new, which is back in 2014. So yes, do the math, it's 2023 right now. So yeah, 9 years this fork has been putting in the work solid for me, and I've never once rebuilt it, which yes, I know is a bad thing. I should have rebuilt it, should have done a little service to it. Nope, haven't done a single thing to this thing, and it's time to do some work to it. I have put upwards of 3,000 plus miles on this bike, 24-hour races. It has gone through some of the worst conditions you can put a bike through. This bike has been through, and so has the fork. So it's time to do a little bit of work to this fork and make it all brand new. So I went ahead onto RockShox website, looked up my specific fork. There is a fork ID number on here. I'll show it to you in a second. Gotta get it off to actually show you the number on this fork. It has that number on there. You can look it up, and it will tell you exactly what you need to rebuild your forks. It'll tell you what fluid you need. In my case, it's a 15 weight and a 5 weight. One's for the upper, one's for lowers. Can't remember off the top of my head right now. One's for uppers, one's for lowers. You definitely don't need this much oil. One of these, I can't remember which one. One of these you barely need anything, but in my case, these were the cheaper option for me, which is getting the big bottles. Plus, maybe it'll make me do this in the future more often. So, got the oils we need, got the SRAM butter right here, the grease for your fork seals, and then of course, we got an entire fork rebuild kit all in here. Every single seal, every single part that could be a wear item and be replaced is in this bag right here. So I got everything I need in order to completely refresh this fork. So before we start and tear into this fork, I'm just gonna say right off the bat, this is not a step-by-step instructional video. I'm just gonna tear into this fork and start tearing stuff apart is what I'm gonna do. It's not step-by-step by any means. I have never done this before. This is my first time tearing into this, so we're gonna find some stuff out, find out how bad a fork can get after 9 years, and see if we can make it brand new. That's kind of the goal of this, is trying to make a 9-year-old fork feel brand new again. So, let's get right over to the bike. First thing we gotta do, we gotta take everything off of the fork. That's not gonna come with the fork when we take it off. Which of course is gonna be our brake caliper, and then disassemble the cockpit so we can pull down the whole fork and take out just the fork and start working on it. So let's get over to the bike, start tearing stuff apart. Okay, first step, take the caliper off of our fork. So we got 5mm bolts right down here, and we got 2 zip ties on mine that we gotta take off. So snip the zip ties first, get these guys out of the way. There's one zip tie. Actually, I lied. One zip tie, the other one's for my fender guard. Alright, so there's one zip tie on my fork. That's good to know. I almost got the other one. That would have been bad. I would have had to replace it. Alright, and then we just got our 2 5mm right down here. Hope I go the right way. There we are. And we want to make sure all of our little washers in there stay in the right spots. Make sure we can adjust this right the next time, you know. Important stuff like that. Makes our life easier. Alright, so there's our little spacer guy. We'll take that out. There we are. Alright, set our front wheel off to the side. And next up, we just gotta take off our stem bolts, drop our fork out, and move the bike off to the side from there. What I like to do, I like to use a strap. This is from like an old toe strap setup. And what this is gonna allow me to do is once I take these 2 bolts off, the fork's gonna drop off, come separate from the bike. I can use this strap to go through the head tube, loop around my stem, holding everything together and kind of keeping it in place and not letting it flop around and smack things and get all lost and confused. So let's pull our guys off of here, and I'm gonna make sure I have a hand on the fork so it doesn't just slide out on me. I don't think it will, but you never know. So there's that guy. Let's kind of pull our stem off of there. We'll set it off to the side for a moment. Pull our spacers off, and I think we just got to push down, and this guy should come right on out. There we are. Perfect. All right. There's our fork right there. I'm just going to set our fork off to the side for just a second. We'll get our bars right here. Kind of flip them back, how they were, and you want to make sure your bike does not fall off the stand, because now it's super off-centered. There we are. So there we go. So toe straps in there, just holding our cockpit in place. From here, I'm just gonna throw my brake caliper kind of over the bars. Let's maybe throw in the bottle cage for the moment. There we are. All right, and the bike just goes off to the side. So we'll just move our bike off to the side, and we'll get our fork thrown up in the stand. So there we go. So I mentioned model number. There's one right there. It says around the steer tube, so you got to take it out to get that one. And the other one, it's on the inside of this fork leg on mine. Someone put it on the brake bridge. Some put it underneath here. Just depends. But in my case, one's right here. One's right here on the steer tube. Other one's on the fork leg. And from there, we just need to clamp our fork right on into our stand. Just like so. We're going to get working on actually tearing this fork apart, which is the fun part of this video. What you guys have been waiting for is seeing how horrible this thing looks and how bad of a maintenance guy on my mountain bike I am. So, let's get to pulling this guy apart. Okay, first things first, gotta let the air out. This is an air fork after all, so we need to make sure there's no air in this thing. That's a good start. Shouldn't take very long. That's all there was. That was like 200 PSI if I remember right. So, that's not very much. Air's out of there, and I think we move from there. We need to start tearing our lowers apart. So there should be a Allen key on the bottom. Let's flip this fork up, start taking a look at that. Okay, so we're at the bottom of the fork. So I don't know how well you guys are actually gonna be able to see in here, but in here we have my rebound guy here. Just pops right off, and yep, there's a 5mm. So keep this guy, don't lose it. Keep that guy, stick it over there. I think that's a 5mm. Let's see what we got. Yep, that is a 5mm. That is really far in there though. Alright, so in my case, I don't have an Allen key that's that long to get all the way up in there. So I have a 5mm socket here. It's actually one of the few park tools I actually own. And let's see, we have it on a ratchet, a little extension. And let's see how this works. So we should just need to be able to unbolt this. I'm going to try and make as little mess as possible. So supposedly you don't undo them all the way because you need to hit them to pop the lowers off. So maybe let's do like right there. Okay. My rubber hammer here, and again I'm trying to make as little mess as possible, so we'll see how this works. Okay, what about you? As far as I understand, if fluid comes out, you've hit them enough. Is there fluid still in this fork? I don't know. 2 bolts, one right there. If you're just doing half a service, you want to hang on to those. I believe I have brand new bolts for everything. So, oh yeah, there's a little bit of fluid on that guy. Oh, hey, see, and there it starts to... That looks disgusting. That looks horrible. Okay. So you should, from what I understand, just be able to pull our lowers off. I think. If everything actually came apart like it did. Yes. All right. So lowers are coming off. I'm gonna kind of aim this down. That looks horrible. If you have a kid, that looks like diarrhea. Like a kid had diarrhea. So they were supposed to be way more oil than that. So that's what it looks like inside your fork legs right there. That's how much oil came out. That's not supposed to be like that. So first thing let's do is let's go ahead and clean up our lowers here. So let's bring these over to the workbench over here. We'll tear these apart and go ahead and reseal everything that's in here, get that all set, and then we'll move on to the uppers in a minute. Once we get these all set, ready to go back on, then we start working on our lockout and our air chamber, of course, and get moving from there. But this looks pretty nasty. All right, so let's work on this. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look in our rebuild kit, which, by the way, if you happen to have this fork, right there, it's a number 11.4018.015.000 is a service kit for a full Recon Silver 2013. It's like 2013 to 2015. So let's take a look, see what all is in here. So that's for our air caps. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's see. Oh, actually, they're actually all labeled too. Look at that. Air top cap, rebound dampener, compression dampener. Let's see, main air piston, stamper seal head shaft bolt, air seal head shaft bolt. So those are those bolts right here. Those are the same ones we took out. Well, so those are those same bolts we took out. So those brand new bolts, brand new little seal for those. So we have all new stuff for that. And our lower leg seals. This is what we're gonna work on right now, is our lower leg seals. So of course we got our little foam wipers here, and then just the actual seals for the top. Those used to be gray. Yeah, okay. So these are what we need to replace. Looks like they're probably just press fit. So let's see what we got. So look at our actual fork here. Say a little flathead. Just go right around, pop our old seal off of that side. Let's do the same for the other side. Okay, they were gray at one point. Okay, and then here's our little foam seal that just fell apart on me. Oh, poor fork. Poor fork. I might title this video, "What Happens If You Don't Service Your Fork for 9 years." There's our old foam seal right there. At least part of it. I'm gonna have to clean up in here, get all this old foam out of here. Man, mistakes were made. Mistakes were made. And yes, I'm gonna clean out inside the lowers after this too, so don't worry about that. It doesn't smell great either, just in case you were curious. Okay, so let's, it's the same thing on this side. And there's our other foam seal right there. We scraped these clean for a while, and then once we're ready to put stuff back together, we'll kind of put stuff back together, I guess. Alright, so I got them at least semi-cleaned up. They're actually kind of shiny, you can see on the camera. I used a little wire wheel I have that's actually just like the perfect size. So, there's that. From there, I'm just going to kind of clean up around the edges, and then I have this shop towel here, and we're going to just shove this shop towel all the way down through here. If we can, maybe. I need to clean the inside of the lowers too. I'm gonna get whatever junk buildup is down there out. Needle nose, and we'll kind of pull it right back out. See how that looks? Looks a whole lot better than it did. Oh, here's kind of what came out. Looks like a million times better than the other side. All right. Again, I don't know if you guys can really see in there, but that looks like a million times better. It's actually like smooth all the way through. Now I gotta do the same thing to this side. Okay, so looked it up, so it's 15 weight. It's gonna go in the lowers. So I'm just using an old peanut butter jar, I think this is. I don't know. Just gonna stick our seals in there maybe. Like that. Get some 15 weight, and we'll soak them in a little bit. Make sure these guys are all clean up in the surface here where they're gonna sit. Might as well clean up everything here. So I actually have good access for once. So seal out of there, and we're gonna put them right back. Well, these are new ones. If you're using the old ones, you're just gonna stick them right back in your fork where they're supposed to go. Of course, you wanna be careful not to tear them or anything. So we'll just kind of pull it out. Just let it kind of drip for a second so it doesn't get everywhere. The fact this looks like this looks nothing like what was in my fork. Oh boy. Alright. Okay, and then, oops, flip my fork around. Gotta put this guy into our other side of the fork. Just like that. And we just gotta get it kind of lined up where it's supposed to be. And then I just push it in. Just like that. Nice and good all the way around. Alright. So I'm gonna save that oil. We'll use that for our lower legs. Alright, and then we just need to put these guys in. Which we're just going to do this. Let's make sure they don't go in a certain way. Nope, doesn't look like it. So we're just going to do this. Go there. I have a rubber mallet here. I just want to make sure they go in evenly, but it doesn't want to do that. Alright, so I have a big socket here. It's like 1.25 inches that fits around this pretty good. So we're going to try this. Okay, new seal on that side. Of course, the foam guy popped up on that side some. It's okay. Okay, I call it good. All right, here we go. New seals in there. I'm just gonna kind of wipe it down a little bit. Looks pretty to me. Look at that. Woo! All right. So lowers should be done. Now, if you're just doing lowers, I think that's all you pretty much got to do. You're pretty much cleaning out those foam pieces, replacing them, whatever you want to do, and then you're putting new fluid in there. So you're pretty much done at that point if you're just doing lowers. But we're not doing just lowers. We're doing the whole shebang. And now we gotta go take apart our uppers. That's where most of the seal kits come in, is with the uppers. Lowers, done. Set those off to the side right there. And let's move back over to the fork in the stand and we'll take off the uppers, start working on those. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start with the air side here, and then we'll move on to this guy after our air is all put back together. So for our air guy, it's you can use an adjustable wrench if you have one. In my case, this is 24. It's a 24 millimeter socket that's on here. And like I said, if you haven't released air pressure, do so. Okay, so there's our air side. So let's put this over on the bench. Okay, so onto the air part. So let's see, what do we got? Air top cap. Okay, so we should have, yep, 1 seal and 2 seals. Okay, so we're gonna do the top cap. So there's 1 little seal in the top cap, which I never would have guessed. So there's 1 little seal right there. So I got a new little seal on our top cap. Cool. Okay. Then we have this guy here. So we have a new core. So use your valve core remover here. We're going to take our old core out. And again, do you need to do all of this? No. After 9 years, I figure it's time. So let's just do it all. Okay, let's throw a new core in there. Okay. Then we need to do these O-rings here. So there's 1 up at the top, right there, and then there's 1 down here at the bottom, right there. So let's see. Let's try and pull our top guy over the top. All right, and we'll pull our lower guy here down the bottom, just like that. Let's throw our new O-rings on. So our new lower and our new upper, just like that. Cool. Top cap done. That wasn't too bad. Okay. Now we need to move on to all of this stuff here. So, all right. So that's it for the air side. There wasn't much in there. Just those seals for the top cap. I'm not sure on the other stuff. Obviously, there's new bottom bolts for when we put the lowers back on, but that's it. So I'm just gonna kind of snug up our cap back to how it was, which was not very tight, honestly. All right, air side's done. Now onto the other side. Right here. So we need that's like a 3, what it looks like. Let's see here, 3. See if I'm right. Oh, nope, close, 2.5. All right, 2.5, take off our cap here. Let's see, is it the same size? It's 24. Okay, so that's the same size. We're just gonna send it like this. Again, not step by step. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Got it. Okay, so turn it so I can get it past my clamp here. Holy crap. There we go, got it. This should have a ton of oil in here. Should. You ready? Ready to see how much oil is in this one? That is brown mud. Okay, there's that side. Clean that up and move over to the bench. Okay, so now we gotta look at the damper part here. So, okay, so here's our compression damper seals. So we have our O-ring here at the top, and then we have our seal down here at the bottom. Okay, we have this guy, which goes right here. Okay, So you got that. That's the rebound damper there. Okay, so let's pull off our old seals. Pull off our guy on the bottom. Come on. There we go. Pull off that guy. We need to get our guy off of our, we need to get our lowering off up here. There we go. Throw a seal on here. Okay. Is that, oh shoot. I think it was this way. Cool. So there's that piece. We got our 2 new seals on there. Alright, let's throw it off to the side. Then we gotta look at this guy. And this guy has this springy deal, which I'm not quite sure how to, does it just kind of pop off? Oh, well, that was easy. Okay, that just kind of pops off, I guess. Okay, so we have gotten all the seals done. I went back and got a couple more that I missed on the air sides. We got those done. I actually found the air spring, found that put in. There were a couple on the bottom of the drive side that I put in, so those are all replaced. We're now on to putting fluid in. We need to put fluid in the drive side leg, so the side with the drivetrain on it, which is going to be essentially the right side, what that's going to be. So this one requires 150. Let's see, let me double check. Let me look at my chart here. So I have the whole chart here pulled up from my fork. So 150 of 5 weight over here into our drive side leg. So let me put 150 in. I have this little syringe. What I'm going to use here is 20 at a time, so I got a bit to go to get all that in there. But we're at 150 in here. Put the top back on, and then we should be ready to move on to sticking the lowers on too and get it all set. Alright, so we got 150 milliliters of 5 weight in the drive side. So now we just need to put our damper back in here. Maybe. Man, it's just as hard to get in as it was out. Alright. Tighten this guy back up. And then once we have this tight, I'm going to just clean up the lower legs a little bit. Make them a little bit, or not, I'm going to clean up the sanctions right here a little bit more. Make them kind of smooth. There's some hard spots on them. There's still a bit of oil. You know, stuff like that. Okay, so I cleaned up the sanctions some, so they at least better. This spot's never going to air. It's just like etched into the leg, but that's okay. So next up is putting the lowers back on. So I got the lowers. I put a little bit of the SRAM butter grease into here onto each of those. Looks like there was some already from putting in, so I put those in there. So pretty much we got to slide these on, but we want to slide them not all the way on, I believe, because we need to put 6 milliliters of fluid in the legs and the lowers. So obviously you can't put it in right now because there's holes at the bottom, so it just dump out. So I believe you slide the legs on, not all the way on because you can't get the fluid in then, but you slide them on. That way they seal. They'll seal up here on the sanctions, and then you can use your little injector thing and stick, what is it, 6 milliliters? 6 milliliters of 15 weight into the legs. So that's kind of the way we're going to do this. Believe so. Yep. Alright, we got everything here. So let's slide our lowers down. Let's slide them up. Okay. Yeah, I'm assuming this is going to be pretty tight to get back over here. Okay, so seals are how they're supposed to be. So now we need to, I think we can put these little spring things back on here. Some of you are probably laughing at me, but we're gonna put the little spring things on. Here's our other little spring thing. Okay, so just like that. Let's wipe off our seals up here. Does look at least semi-decent. All right, I'm gonna set these on the floor right now. Have my oil here. Okay, looks like 6 on the dot. So kind of go in our hole at the bottom of our fork leg. We'll just put 6 in there. Now we got another 6. Air fork side. Air side just has a regular bolt. Need to get fed down in here somehow. Like that. And I'm just going to start it, hand thread it, and we'll finish her up with the ratchet. We're going to tighten this up good because it has a seal in there, so we want to make sure that seals. And then our other side with our adjuster has a hole through there. And this one has the seal here and it has a seal up on the top, so you make sure you have both of those seals ready to go. Alright, and then from there, just gotta get our little adjuster here. And I think it only goes in one way. Put it in there, make sure it turns. Seems pretty solid to me. Alright, not leaking. We're good there. Now we just gotta put air in it. Make sure it holds air. That's an important thing too. And then once for sure it holds air, reassemble time. And let's take it off. I'm gonna go bounce it real quick. Let's see, I'm just gonna put it right here. Well, that feels really good. That feels really good. So fork rebuilt. I'm gonna wipe it all down. Get the bike back in the stand, put it all back together. All right, and there we have it. So once you get that fork reassembled back together, you just piece it all back together, stick it back through your headset, put the bars back on, take it for a test drive, and you're set to go. Now, that thing felt amazing. I haven't felt it that smooth in a long time. So that was the biggest thing that came from that, is it just feels smooth and predictable is what it feels like. It used to not feel that way. It's so much smoother now. It feels good. Obviously, you guys saw how little liquid came out of there, how little fork fluid came out of that fork. So it makes a big difference. You know, who knows where all that fluid went? I don't know. You know, that definitely wasn't 160 milliliters that came out of the fork like there should have been. So that's how you do it. It's really not super complicated. It's just replacing a bunch of seals while you're in there and just making sure the seals are all good, make sure everything's all together and functioning as it is. And you know, doing the fork, it seems a little bit more in-depth, more complicated than working on anything else in the rest of your bike. Realistically, it wasn't that complicated. You just had to make sure you had a full kit for your fork, like I did. Replace all the O-rings, replace all the seals, and you're set to go. And really the hardest part was just finding all the little seals that needed to be and finding all the stuff you need to replace. Once I did that, it's great. This thing's super easy, super simple, and for me it made a huge difference. 9 years riding on the old fluid, the old seals. You guys saw how bad some of that stuff was, and I feel really bad that it was that bad. But going back to brand new seals, O-rings, air spring, all that makes a huge difference on this thing rides. And I can't wait to get this out on the trail. Going to Downeyville the end of this week, so I can't wait to get ripping this at some of the trails out there in Downeyville. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you learned something from this video. Learn to service your fork before 9 years. And it makes things a lot easier, a lot nicer, a lot cleaner, and you end up with a nice feeling fork all the time. If you have any comments or questions, let me know down in the comment section below. Love talking to you guys, love answering questions you guys have, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching today.